are we excited? Reds mandatory in parties. Let's go!
Blizzard on Paladin changes 1007, Red Aura rework and Divine Soul. Okay, there's a little bit here. Hello Paladins, we're hard at work on updates to the Retribution tree and will soon share a set of in-depth development notes to give an overview of what's changed here. Ooh, that means we're gonna have more in the future. We're also making some changes to the Paladin class tree. Oh, yes! Some of which you'll see in today's PTR update. Yes! In Dragonflight, Retribution Aura has functioned only as a personal throughput benefit to Paladins, locking them out of using other auras during gameplay. We're looking to change that, so Retribution Aura now grants 5% increased damage and healing for 10 seconds to all party raid members whenever a party raid member within 40 yards takes more than 50% of their health and damage every 30 seconds. Yo, dude, that's nuts, man.
Yo, what a fucking red paladin in there.
Oh,
think about Rassigan, man. How much people...
That's a lot. Dude, I mean, if people consistently take that damage, you can potentially have up to 30% uptime on this.
Yeah,
5%.
It's kind of insane.
5% increased damage and healing for 10 seconds every 30 seconds. Supposedly, if people take more than 50% of their health in damage. It doesn't say how it's calculated. Is it one hit? Is it in the course of like a couple of globals? Is it like a damage event? Can it be like ticks? Can it be like if a tick takes 30% HP and then the second tick happens quick and takes another 30%? Does that count towards 60%? Or is it 30%? Tank procs could also... There are tank busters in the game that definitely can funnel into this, although tanks usually don't want to take that much damage. 50% of a tank's health in one go, it's a lot. It's easier for a DPS to take that than a tank, I feel.
Rassigan is the best example.
Dude, this is... Oh my god. Yo, are you gonna switch mid-tier, man?
Mid-tier is definitely my main fault. I don't want to fuck up the rate.
Yeah. In addition to the changes to Red Aura, Retribution Paladins receive a baseline passive, Instrument of Retribution. When any party raid members within 40 hours dies, you gain Avenging Wrath for 12 seconds. I mean...
The old aura.
Yeah, it's
passive now, which, okay, I'll take it.
Yeah, I mean, it's better since you don't have to choose it. You don't have to sacrifice other thing for it, because... Alright, Seraphim has been removed from the Paladin talent tree. This is the general talent tree.
Fuck Seraphim!
Dude, I have mixed feelings about the entire tree. I mean, I think we both have, with so many throughput nodes there. In our previous notes, we mentioned stacking auras and having an excessive amount of buttons to press. Yes, this is not fun for a bunch of classes. Seraphim is a fairly large factor in both, and we feel it is better to take the throughput provided by this cooldown and build it into your core abilities. Interesting. Because this doesn't just affect red, this affects every Paladin spec. As a result of the above, we've decided to move Divine Soul to the Paladin class tree. Well, that kind of makes sense, because, you know, all specs want it, to ensure there's still a powerful and exciting node at the point end of the class tree as a goal. We look forward to sharing more with you in the coming weeks and hearing to your feedback. All right, so normally, whenever I think of the Paladin class tree having so many throughput nodes, Seraphim, Sanctified Wrath, all of that stuff, is just a lot, because there's never a choice. You'll always have to pick those. And we argued before that, you know, class tree shouldn't have that many damage nodes and make you choose between, you know, taking something like Sacrifice, Blessing of Sacrifice, or take an actual DPS option. But Warrior has that. Warrior has a bunch of throughput nodes. It's pretty much almost all throughput with a few actual utility. And if we're going to make this comparison, because I've said this before for like 4 or 5 months ago, Paladin should take a note from the Warrior class tree, where Warrior also has capstones that are, let's say, the Shadowlands abilities, like the Divine Soul of would probably be Spear of Bastion. All Warrior specs have Spear of Bastion as a capstone. Warrior capstones are all mega DPS increasers. You have the Avatar, you have the Shockwave, well, more or less. You have the Thunderous Roar, and you have the Spear of Bastion. So it even has more than Paladin, and it does well. It does well. That's probably because of how the overall class tree is also designed. So if we're going to rework the Paladin tree, I mean, obviously, the devs probably already have whatever they have in store thought out. Here's where we get to it. Seraphim. So I don't know if Divine Soul is gonna take the place of Seraphim here. I don't know. It will. We know for sure.
Pick up new talents.
There's a.
I can look at it.
I'm just looking to see if WoW had also updated.
Yeah,
theirs.
updated.
Oh, okay, cool. Oh, okay, then that's maybe slightly disappointing. Oh, it is. Oh, it's not a choice now. What do you mean? It's just a standalone point.
It's a standalone point.
Yeah, yeah.
That makes fucking sense. Divine Toll is by all Paladin specs. It should have been in the class tree from the get-go. Not that they moved Sanctify Red Protection. That's fine. It's just the beginnings now.
Yeah, no, that's good. I mean, Seraphim was at least in my opinion, Seraphim was as much as an all-around Paladin cooldown as Divine Toll was, but I think we can all agree that the Divine Toll is a little bit more impactful. Makes a little bit more sense to actually be a button and a cooldown instead of
That's what I'm saying. Nobody liked Seraphim.
Yeah, it was boring.
Fine. It was a boring talent, and the fact that they want to take that buff and just implement it into like other abilities, it's cool. While Divine Toll, now that's cool.
Yeah,
it has a lot of purpose.
Okay. So we have some changes so far. So from what I understand, this is not the final talent tree for sure, because Divine Toll is also on the red spec. So we just have the class tree where Divine Toll is in the class tree, and you have Divine Resonance. After casting Divine Toll, instantly cast Judgment every 5 seconds. I think Marcelian has been talking about this in probably all writs that you want Ringing Clarity, right? Not this stuff.
Yeah. The thing is, it's still very early, but I'm guessing Ringing Clarity could be something they would put in spec trees, or they could just change all of that, the Divine Resonance, and just bake it into that. That would be like asking for too much, possibly. But
well, you say that, but didn't Bolas do the multi-proc Divine Toll thing?
Yeah, we don't know what that is. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It could be in the red tree or whatever, but the fact that you get this, and this is one of the coolest raid utilities it can ever have. Red Aura, this is the main question. Like, I don't know if Red Aura is gonna be only available to Retribution Paladins. That's one thing.
I mean, it shouldn't, right? All Paladins get pretty much all auras, right?
Well, see, that's where you and I tend to disagree. Because Retribution, it's Retribution Aura, it has the fucking name in it.
Okay, but then make Devotion Aura be like only a prot thing.
Yeah, they could do that. So
that would give all specs like a place to be in.
That's what I'm saying. So you can find, listen, you have, as a prot, you already have spell warding, which can guarantee you a spot in some capacity, right? Have like Aura Mastery, Devotion Aura paired up for Holy. There you go. You have your place for Holy. Red had nothing for any group. It was just, okay, it does good damage. That's cool. But when it comes to utility,
I'm all fine with that. I'm all fine with Red having that stuff. But okay, so this is what I'm talking about. The way it is right now, right? You have Divine Soul and you have Divine Resonance. The thing that Warrior does so well, because they're very similar in this regard. Can I get to it by putting like a gazillion points?
What do you want to show?
The capstones, because it has the exact same Shadowland situation, and it's actually doing good. So all of the things that we talked about, Paladin doing very poorly in terms of capstones, Warrior does the same thing, but it does better. Look, you have the Spear Bastion, you have Elysian Might, and you have Piercing for it.
Yeah, see, that's a great example.
So this is exactly what they can do. And if these are too overpowered to be able to be picked at the same time, they can use it as a choice note, like you have with Avatar here, because you cannot take Berserker Storm and End Titan Storm, and otherwise you'll just be a god.
It'd be too much.
Like I agree. God. So this is what they can do. This is the best example of a class tree that, okay, we want you guys to have like the Warrior, big boy, baddie abilities for all of the specs, and be in the spec tree, right? And it doesn't feel like you're sacrificing much. There's like some defensives here, some utility. There's pretty much central. There's a lot of paths that you can take, either to or from the utilities, and they can definitely take a page out of that and put it into red, where it doesn't feel like it's so weird.
No, so the thing is, if you look at the tree now, it's not that changed. So they haven't implemented, the previous data mine stuff, right? What they said now, it's basically the Retribution Aura, which has been a complaint from Paladins in general for a long ass time. Now it's a passive, it's cool, and they addressed that. The fact that Divine Toll is back, it's in the class talent tree now. They can further enhance that into the spec trees, because you mentioned, the multi-proc thing. That can be something that can be red only. There's other stuff that can be used for protection and holy. All of the other stuff that they talked about, this is why they made the post, because what I'm waiting for is the actual in-depth stuff, and I'm thinking that will be made available once they actually implement the total rework of the red tree. But I'm thinking that once we get the implementation and the testing with the new talent tree and also the red aura, I can guarantee that reds will have guaranteed spots in raids.
That'll be so
and
cool.
I know it's unfair for a lot of specs because I've seen the comments. There's already a shitstorm on Reddit and on the forums.
It's always a shitstorm, man. When is there no shitstorm?
So I dare ask any like decent to serious raider, when was the last time you had to have a red paladin in your group?
I don't. They've used in the race wall first, but it wasn't like a mandatory thing. I think the last time I saw
it, you have to have it because you have specs that you need to have there.
The last I can actually answer this. The last time a red spec was actually needed was on Ashara BFA.
What? I played that.
I think Method was running Narcoles, and if you remember, Ashara used to spawn a bunch of ads in the middle that needed to be bursted down, and Red was the best spec in the game to burst.
For the burst, okay, that
was like one phase in the whole raid.
I can give you that but again, that's the damage argument. You can have that argument for Mythic Plus as well. When it comes to like, okay, how much mandatory would spec be in terms of like its complementation of the other specs? This is where this red aura thing kicks in and everybody gets to win from it. So it would have been a little bit tricky if it was just damage or just healing, but it's a 5% buff to both of them, and it can also occur pretty often. And you have fights like Razaget where you will have a lot of procs after this, not to mention the tanks usually get to below 50% in a lot of situations. And this is not only raids, you can see this in a lot of like Mythic Plus content as well, again with the tanks and Tyrannical.
DKs will be your favorite tank to have in the raid, man, because they always like...
Yeah, DK is going to be a Paladin's best friend, right? So this is like for me, who I'm like main red Paladin all my life, this is like very good news and very positive. I'm looking forward to see how they will actually address the gameplay and stack. Because, okay, you're gonna have your nice red aura in the raid, and gonna be wanted in a party or whatever, but it still boils down to how fun it is to play it. And if they remove the goddamn Consecration playstyle, and from what we saw,
that's so bad,
dude. Listen. Okay, since we're on the topic, just a quick caveat. I don't mind Consecration. I talked with Lego about this. So here's the deal with Consecration. That is a spell that was very cool and useful back in the day. Why? Because back in the day, Consecration was very potent against undead and demons. It would do extra damage to them. I think it was extra holy damage. Yeah. Nowadays, that is so outdated, and it all doesn't even look right. Like the animation to it as well, it just looks like 2000 and it's so 2008.
They would have to like update Consecration to like a modern spell where it like, you know, has a chance to crit for like triple the damage per tick or something like that.
They need to add something interesting to it. So Consecration was cool back in the day, but it remained like with the same concept and functionality as in the past, which does not translate for today. So I don't mind it. I would like a playstyle with Consecration, but make it interesting and more up to the present day. That's what I'm saying. Other than that, it's fucking great. I mean, to know
how much excitement can they do with like one blue post and no actual stuff,
man. Let's do it!
Oh, dude, I cannot wait, man. Imagine people wanting paladins. Like, how many paladins do we want for this raid? Nobody ever in the history of WoW has asked that question.
Paladins in general, you probably want it because again, you have Prod and Holy, whatever. But when it comes to red, this is a major win. It's again, we're getting super hyped here, but it can be changed. It can be boiled down to a 3% increase, 2%. Doesn't matter. Whatever percentage that ends up to be, it will still be good, just because it's a realistic scenario. This can happen, and sure, you have the 30-second time where you can have it, but still during a fight like a big mythic boss fight, you can still proc it at least 4 or 5 times, which is great for everybody in the raid.
The thing with this, for anybody that might argue pro or against this, is that this can easily be tuned, because this is not a unique mechanic of something that proccing at a specific amount of health. If this is too weak, it can be nerfed to like 60% HP or 70% HP.
They have the tools for that shit.
So
they can make it to not be broken.
Like 3 main variables that can be tuned for this to make this viable and make it so that if they really want red to be represented more, they can buff any one of these 3 or all 3 at the same time, and you'll probably see more reds.
But yeah. Color me excited. Reds mandatory in parties. Let's go!
Oh man, this is so good for red, dude.
I've been loving it then, I still love it now. Still, I play WoW. Still, I play WoW. Getting better every day, let me show you how. Cause still, I play WoW. Still, I play WoW. It's getting harder to stay, but at the end of the day, it's a guilty pleasure, so just log in and play. Whether it's classic or retail, I'ma do a /bow. Still, I play WoW.